10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, comic friends? It's Ryan, the Colossus Collector, and thank you for tuning in to the debut episode of my new show, Colossus Spotlight. If you were watching my channel, you know that a lot of my live streams they tend to be X-Men focused. And for a while last year, I was starting to think I really want to start something new that's ongoing where I can branch out, have a little bit more flexibility and have more people from across the comic community talk about more things in this hobby that we love. And that's when I started thinking and came up with this show. And I'm so happy to finally get it off the ground with this first episode, Colossus Spotlight, on original comic art, something that I have grown more and more interested in the last year, and I'm starting to dip my toes in it. I wanted to learn more about it. I wanted to talk about it, and it's the perfect theme for this first episode. I have a great lineup of guests. Before I bring them in, I just wanted to say that I'm just battling a little bit of a cold, so forgive my raspiness at times, but the show must go on. And I've got, like I said, 3 awesome guests, big original comic art collectors that have awesome collections, that have a lot of great knowledge and stuff to learn from. So I will bring them in one by one. First off, my most recent connection, as I was starting to dive in a little bit more on comic art, I started looking for fellow comic art enthusiasts on Instagram, and I found this gentleman who had an absolutely epic and amazing comic art collection, tons of X-Men, which of course I love, and that is Sam from Casciatocomics.
Hey.
I'm just wanting to bring him on here. Sam,
hey, how's it going, guys?
Nice to have you on. Thanks for coming on, and nice to meet you in person for the first time. And excited to talk to you tonight about comic art. My next guest doesn't really need an introduction, but he will get one anyways. He is the man behind the channel West Coast Davengers. He is a comic seller, a comic content creator. He is an avid collector of comics, reader of comics and comic art. He is the entertaining one. He is Dave from West Coast Davengers. Dave, we've been connected for so long. I feel like I know you, but we've actually never been on a stream together and chat. Thank you for coming on tonight, and it's a pleasure to finally get to talk with you and hang out a bit.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Ryan. I put my most Canadian hat on for you, and I
could almost match you. I still got the
this is how we roll, and I thought it would just be appropriate. It's very, very nice and cozy, and I'm looking forward to talking about cozy comic art with Sam and yourself and our next friend.
Perfect segue. Last but certainly not least, he is an avid comic art collector. I connected with him in the last year on IG. He's also got a YouTube page. He is literally all about comic art because it's in his name. And he might soon change his name to the ambassador of comic art. But for now, and I got to give that to Dave. That's Dave's idea. He is the patron of comic art. Jason, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming on, my friend.
How you doing, gents? How's it going?
How's it
Doing
going?
good. We are
I brought you
excited
some
to talk
fireworks.
about some comic art. I always use the MacBook for my videos, so I don't get any of those fun little iPhone or I guess they're iPhone.
No, it's Mac. It's anything Mac.
Oh, anything Mac?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't got. Maybe I gotta turn that on or something. All right, guys. Just want to say hello quickly to a couple of friends in the chat. We've got Renegade Rants. Thank you for stopping in tonight. And then, as always, we've got my good friend Richard Westfall.
What's up, Rich?
Wanted to say hi, Richard. Thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. So, I wanted to dive in first by asking you guys and talk a little bit backstage, just to kind of get an understanding of how you guys sort of found your way into comic art, collecting it. I'm assuming you guys started with comics and that kind of turned into comic art. Seems kind of like the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken. But I'd love to hear kind of your backstory and your journey into it. Why don't we kick it off with Sam and why don't you tell us a little bit?
I'm the resident newbie. I'm happy to start off. So it all started for me as a kid. I was around 6 years old, and my dad took me to his first baseball card collecting convention. He was an avid baseball card collector, and at a lot of these conventions, there were some comic books, and I had recently gotten into Batman the Animated Series, and so that I wouldn't annoy him, he would give me a little money and be like, "Hey, you like comics? Go check out the comics." And I'd go and fell in love with comics, and then fast forward about 30 years. It was actually a few years ago from now, but COVID hit, and I had my comic book collection, and I noticed the art that I wanted was kind of finally within grasp financially if I sold my comic books during the COVID bubble. And so I did and started buying all the X-Men artwork I could get my hands on. That's pretty much the very short version of the story. I turned my mom's apartment into a bit of a comic book store, online store there for a couple years, and I was stuck at home anyway. I just sold my AF-15, sold my Fantastic Fours, everything that was graded went out the window. I was able to get a Neil Adams commission right before like the year before he passed away. That was a big thing for me. Everyone thought I was crazy selling my AF-15, but I'm pretty happy with the end result. Not that
And
Neil died.
And so at this point, you're pretty much all art. Like that's
yeah. I still sell some. Like I'd say maybe a few hundred comics left. None of them are anything to write home about. A lot of it's like 2017, 2019 filler like variants, and I probably have 30 copies with different covers of the Batman Master Race 3 when they did that run and did like 50 different variant covers for each one. So that was what was starting to sour me a little bit in comic books anyway. I loved comics, but the art was always the end goal in my mind. But COVID, the one silver lining for me was it made the comic, really the collecting bubble went crazy. Crypto went crazy. Pokemon cards went crazy. Everything that was collectible went a bit crazy. So gave me my chance because art was a little bit slower. It's crept up for sure, but the comic market really jumped before the art market did. So it gave me that like kind of now or never feeling. So I kind of just
gave you
went
that
with
window to sell the comics.
yeah, and
then,
get what I and get in because it's so hard to break in like for any collecting niche area, it's hard to get that first step in, that break in of like, what am I doing? Am I overpaying for things? Am I, because especially in art, like you can buy what you love, but at the same time, a lot of it's expensive. So it's a little harder to FOMO out in art. Like you can, but it's a little, I feel like it's something I like about it is it's a little harder to be like, oh, that character just came out in a TV show. I need to find a piece of art for him because I don't want to spend like crazy amount of money on just like that chance of it being a thing. But it's more for me, like I'm not big on speculating. I'm not big on that kind of stuff. It's more of like I wanted very specific 90s X-Men artwork. And that was where I started. So I was just like, okay, sell the collection and let's get rolling on Andy Kubert, the Kubert family, Jim Lee, Sam Keith, one of my babies. This one's not in the frame right now because I just got it out to show off a little bit.
We'll take a look at that again when we get to the show
yeah.
and tell portion of this evening, and we'll have you a little bit bigger so we can see that in
no worries.
Its full glory.
Taste.
But it sounds like you had excellent timing. Like just you knew that you wanted to do the art thing, and you jumped on the opportunity when the comics were booming.
Yeah,
to maximize that and then move into the art before it had popped off itself.
Ever since the 2008 housing crisis, I got a bit into market bubbles, and it just kind of happened that one of my favorite things in the world, collecting comics, ended up being a market bubble at a time where I was like, okay, this is pretty obvious to me. Like I think I bought it. Tales of Suspense 49, or I forget if it's 48 or 49. First appearance Iron Man. I bought it in like 2016 for like 1,500, and then I sold it in the late 2019 for like $5,000. Like it was there was a huge gap in especially once everyone started watching like all the TV shows being stuck at home. You could just see it. It wasn't overnight, but it was just very quickly the prices started ballooning.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. Great entry. I think most of us suckers got into comics when it started popping off, and you exited. That sounds like smart.
I pivoted.
Pivoted. Yeah, not exit, not fully exit. So I want to move to Jason, because I know your story is somewhat related to Dave's story. So having talked before, so Jason, why don't you let us know kind of where it all started for you with comic art?
In terms of comic art, I didn't know about it until the early aughts. The first page I picked up was a JLA page from Brian Hitch through his then rep, who had a site called The Art of Comics. And so that was like my start of it. And then prior to that, I was at the Mocha Art Festival, and I started collecting sketches from a variety of artists who were attending. And so bit by bit, I started out with books, collecting sketches. And then that graduated into original comic book art in terms of published work. And then since then, I've been collecting a variety of things, ranging from commissions to preliminaries for covers to sketch covers. I've got quite a few in my collection that I'll show with all of you later, as well as published artwork that I've had in my collection on and off. And there are times I'll sell some stuff to get bigger pieces, and there are things that I used to like that I don't like anymore that I'll then sell. So I've been doing that for quite a bit. I also do collect comics. Not as much of the new stuff. It's rare, new stuff. It's got to be based on the artist and writer team working, then I'll check it out. But otherwise, I mainly collect, thanks to Dave and his channel, key comic books and high grade. And so, yeah, that's what I've been doing. Those two. I'm
also I have a lot of thanks to give to Dave for the growth of my collection. He's
I'm the
he's a good resource for that.
I'm
So Jason, when did you say you kind of jumped into it? What, like, time wise?
In the early 2000s, like just because when I started with the commission work, I liked it. I thought it was cool, but then I saw that there was an opportunity to actually buy pages from comic book.
Mm-hmm.
That surprised me early on. When I did have some, I had some big pieces that I then at the time had to sell. Like I had an early Lee Bermejo when he did his first Batman in the Batman Death Blow series. And the one that I picked up from his rep at the time was the one where he's crashing through the window. It says crash.
Wow.
Page. And another piece,
Man.
dual page of Superman by John Byrne trying to find kryptonite to kill off the alternate version villains of that series in his early run in Superman. Like, I had a really good pages, and then I needed money, so I had to sell them. You know, sometimes it happens. Don't
It does.
You know, and there's some people like, you know, dwell on it, and you can't. I mean, sometimes it happens, and you just got to roll with it, and don't feel like these are really yours. Like, in reality, they're yours now, but they're going to be someone else's later on down the line. So you're essentially a custodian of the artwork. So.
I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 2000s commissions, and then I graduated to published work. But I still collect commissions because, in my view, it's like if the published page is too much money, the next best, or you know, vice versa. There have been circumstances where the published page was cheaper than getting a commission from the artist. So important to do your due diligence, and it's also dependent upon what you're looking to collect. You know, some people have really niche things. Like, some people just want to collect X-Men art. That's cool. I collect a variety of stuff. A good chunk of it is Batman related, but I mean, I've got like a Ghost Rider behind me. I've got a Spidey right here. Big fan of Spidey. So I have a good mix of stuff.
Well, that's yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming into it, you know, the and we'll talk about cost in a bit, but like, yeah, those published pieces are just like crazy to see what they're going for, and it seems like a good entry point is to do commissions and sketch covers and things like that. Dave, I'm excited to hear, you know, a little bit more of the influence that Jason had on you going into collecting original art as well.
Yeah, I mean, before I knew Jason and before I was West Coast Davengers, I was a black market art dealer out of no, I'm just kidding.
You got me going for a second.
Back when I was younger, when I started, you know, I started collecting comics when I was 10, 11, whatever. And, you know, I was going to conventions in New York because I grew up in New York, and I would go to the Javits Center before it was called New York Comic Con. But I never thought that you could own, you know, like it was an obtainable thing. Just like when I was 10, there was a Hulk 181 on the wall at my LCS, and it was like $150. I'm like, I can't. I don't have it. You know, I don't have the money. But what's interesting is I knew so little about comic art when I was like 13 or 14. I ended up buying a color guide from Eric Larson's ASM 350, and I thought it was the original art. And it was so cheap. It was like $25 or something, or $10. And I sold it like an idiot, probably when I was 17 or 18. And then I had pages in my 20s. I had like a Trad Moore Luther Strode, because I love that book. Nice. I had a Guy Davis BPRD because I loved the whole Hellboy world. But I sold them because I just didn't, it wasn't my thing. And then, as you know, I got sketches like Jason. I would go to cons. I had Stephen Platt's sketch. The thing that I still have, and I'll show it later, that most people who watch my channel have seen, is a sketch that McFarlane did for me, but it's not like a doodle. It's a sketch.
Okay.
And that's like having that for the last 15-ish, 20 years. That's kind of what anchored me down. But when I started doing the comic thing, I started talking to Jason. You started following me, and we would just chat about original art. And you know, I had a friend that's still my friend for about 30 years, and he had a massive collection. I'm talking Charles Vest Swamp Thing cover, Sienkiewicz question cover, George Pratt Enemy Ace pages, like all of this crazy classic stuff. And in his divorce, he had to sell it all that. So I was around it a lot. Yeah, exactly, Jason. He's still very upset about it, and it's like 15 years past.
Choose wisely.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is just like, so I was around it a lot, but I never owned it. And we started talking, me and Jason. Jason's like, oh, you should. I think we probably started talking about Larson. You're like, oh, you should buy a page from Albert Moy, you know, get a Larson page. And so I started to dip my toe in and be like, all right, I'm making money. You know, I make my living selling comics. I can pay my bills, my rent, and all that. Let me dip in and buy some pieces here and there. And it escalated very quick, very, very quick. You know, we're talking 2.5 years, and I have pages and pieces from almost every artist I've ever loved. And
Wow.
it's fun. It's a great way to put your money somewhere else, into something you love that you know won't ever go away because it's art. You can always appreciate it. And at the end of the day, like, I can't take any of this with me.
Nope.
So either when I'm older, or I'm going to sell it all, or I'm going to open a museum. I don't know. But I love supporting artists. I mean, my favorite thing to do is put money in artists' pockets. I'd rather buy from them than anywhere else. But I love it. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to really get some pieces that I would think I'd have no business owning even 10 years ago. You know, just kind of like what Sam said. It's just like,
Right.
you know, I still have a lot of comics. Obviously, it's my business, but I no longer look at like my spending money as like, oh, I'm going to go buy, you know, another Jack Kirby Grail. I'm going to go buy a Jack Kirby page.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah.
But Jason was definitely a structural part of like being like, you should look at this now because now you're so deep in it. Like, you should look at it.
I get the appeal. I mean, it's so cool to be able to say I'm the only one with this. This is one of one. It's you know, I used to like collecting sports memorabilia, and one of the reasons why I got out of it was because it was so hard to get those museum pieces because they were one of one. And now I'm finding myself going, oh, I really like that aspect of the hobby of comic art. Like, and I mean, I'm not under any delusions that I'm gonna have, you know, Kirby's FF48 cover or anything like that, right?
No.
But like,
exists.
The idea of having just a Kirby page from
Right?
FF
Yeah.
is, and even that is very expensive, but it's seems somewhat attainable.
It definitely is.
And would be just like, they're crown jewels to a collection.
Can I give you a quick aside, Ryan, that's going to blow your mind?
Yeah, please blow minds, Dave. I love
from about 1996 through about 2004, I had amassed a collection of about 350 game used hockey sticks. Everybody from Messier to Iserman to Brodeur to Scott Stevens to, you know, I had the collection. I didn't have a Gretzky or Lemieux. I still have Theo Fleury's game used stick from their 2004 or whenever they won the gold in the early 2000s for the Olympics. So I do understand the lure of chasing that as your, you know, your thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it felt like an unattainable thing, but now that I'm looking at it with comic art, it feels at least like there's more of it. You know, there's so many pages in every comic, and an artist produces so much work over a career. It seems like I can get a piece of that, which is really such a cool thing. And even you know, commission work and non-published work is also just such a cool thing to have, because they made it for you. Like, you asked for it. It's like, it's for you by this amazing artist or this legend or whatever. So definitely, you're just, I still love comics. I still want to keep chasing my grails and my keys, but I definitely want to add in some of that art. And like I said, it's kind of like a crown jewel to any collection, I think. I wanted to ask about kind of like speaking of commissions, and so there's published work and then there's commissions. Is there any other like subcategories of OA that
Kind
people
of.
can go down the rabbit hole on?
Yeah, like one example I can give you off the bat is, so there are quite a few covers that the artwork's only done digitally. A new thing they're doing now is where they'll offer these AP prints. I haven't really broken into that in the digital world, where like for example, Mark Spears, a lot of his artwork is digital recently, and like you can buy like one his big Lobo cover that he did. It's not, there's no physical copy of it because it was all done on the computer, but they'll print you a one-off print of it, and it'll never be sold at any comic shows or anything else. You're the only one who'll own that print, and it comes with a letter of authenticity. I haven't done that yet, but what I have done is a kind of version of that where, like for example, Clayton Crane does a lot of his artwork digitally, and one of my favorite covers of his was a Strife cover for Messiah Complex. And so instead, that cover doesn't exist tangibly. So I commissioned him to do a close version of what it would be if he painted it. So like there's stuff like that you could do. Sorry, that's my dog.
Was the first thing that came to my mind, the first two things that came to my mind are production art on like, oh, hello, thumbs up, on like action figures, stuff that like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Jason loves him as well as I do. Like he's done so much art for DC. They just came out with the lookbook, and it's like, it's not all comics, it's stuff that DC came out with. There's that, and then right over my shoulder here is John Wayshak's Midnight Suns Vengeance card art, trading card art. Not only, I would say the trading card art is the biggest thing to pop off in the last 2 or 3 years.
Love trading card art.
Trading card art is great. I think people have gone a little too crazy with it. A little bit like, like, not to jump ahead to it, but, remember the Fleer Spider-Man set that Bagley did, the 9-card triptychs?
Yeah.
Those are selling for $35, $45, $50,000. It's like, pump the brakes, guys.
I feel
That's
you.
a little
I feel
too much.
No, yeah, it's specific artists, and it's published because it's like those cards still count as published. Like for me, like I'm never gonna own a Greg Capullo, I don't think, like X-Force piece. Like there's one I would wish I owned that Panel Page has. Shout out to Panel Page. But I do have a great Greg Capullo Domino card. Like I have,
well, it's cool.
Yeah.
The prices went from being like
crazy.
Nothing to everything.
Oh yeah, like pretty much if it's considered published, it's considered published now. Like you'll still have discrepancies. Like Jim Lee's cards will go from like on the low end, maybe you'll get it for like 8. Maybe that's really lucky.
It's got to be a cheesy character.
Oh yeah, but you're like, if it's an X-Men character and it's Jim Lee and it's published, you're talking 10, 15 or more easily. Like, and then because now the pages, like anything Jim Lee at pages, you might even be talking 6 figures.
Yeah, even commissions are 5 figures from Jim Lee.
Those are all catching up.
Yeah.
A lot of the artists are getting repped now, which I like. The artists are making money. I'm really happy about that. But I
have things to say about that.
I do too. Like I do like seeing the artists make money, but there's a lot going on in that. Oh man, sorry, getting text on my phone. There's a lot going on in that where it's kind of creating a new floor price for everything.
Yeah, and then it's making a lot of reps very wealthy off the backs of a lot of artists.
Totally. So you see a lot of artists keeping their art now too.
Yeah, which is not a terrible idea, because if they can still make money creating comics and they don't have to rely on original art sales, then that means they can cash out when they're older.
Yeah,
exactly.
Example, he never really sold his artwork. He actually donated it to a school.
Who? I didn't hear who you said the name.
Oh, I was just saying that Walt Simonson.
Simonson. Oh yeah, Simonson hasn't
held his
sold
art
anything.
for years, didn't sell it, and if you did see a piece, it was rare. And the stuff, like for example, his stuff for Hulk that he did for a bit, the Mark Waid written Hulk, those blue lines that were inked by I think Scott Hanna. So if you're into blue lines, you can collect those. I rarely get those. The only reason I would get them is if the artists themselves also tinkered with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alan Davis will do that. He did a run of a miniseries of Avengers, and I picked up an Avengers page from him 2 or 3 years ago at Terrificon because he was there. And so I asked his rep how he does the process, just because I want to understand what's going on. Essentially, they design it, they print it out, and then he inks it himself and tinkers with it more before it's finalized and then sent to the publisher to be put into the comic. So
yeah, well, Blue Line, and yeah, that's, I mean, if you want to explain Blue Line a little bit more, just for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, it's basically like digital. It can be digital blue lines.
Yeah. So yeah, go for it, Jason.
Oh, so there's blue lines and gray lines. They're essentially the same thing. But what happens is you'll have the artist draw the image on a computer, on a laptop, or a tablet, if you will, and then there they'll send that image to the inker, who may be in a different part of the country or world, depending on what they're dealing with. And then from there, the inker will then ink on that. Sometimes they'll print it out and ink it. Sometimes they'll just ink it on as well. It depends. These days, it used to be back in the day, I would be the artist, and a lot of the artists back in the day were in New York, because that's where the big two, Marvel and DC. And so they'd be in the offices working, or they'll mail the pencils to an inker who will then ink them, then mail that completed artwork to the publisher to then eventually get it scanned and published into the comics we all love. These days, since people are all over the place globally, but they still work together, and we're in a digital world right now, a lot of people do their artwork through the computer, which pros and cons. A lot of people, I guess I'm kind of one of those. I'm not crazy about the blue lines, but it really depends on the process in which it's been.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's key, because the thing is, I know they do these mono prints. These a lot of people who are doing the artwork themselves, they'll have it, but then they want that money of selling the artwork, but they're not really selling artwork. They're really selling a print of the page. That's hence mono print. And so what they'll then do is they'll supply a certificate, they'll stamp it, they'll sign it. Sometimes they'll even do a small sketch on it, so it could be unique unto itself. So you can have an original piece.
The remark.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, what's to say they die one day, and their relatives?
Well, everybody dies. Newsflash.
And make more. How do you know that's not going to
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And then you also have sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Jason.
No, it's
you also have like artists like Scotty Young, or who's the Invincible one?
Ryan Otley.
Yeah, Ryan Otley, who they'll do the pencils, and then they'll scan those pencils to an inker, and so you'll end up with a tangible pencil drawing by Otley, and then an inked drawing by an inker. Or like another person like Scotty Young does it a lot too, where he'll do his pencils. He inks his own work now, but he used to get a lot of the Human Torch run he did. They're all pencil-based art, and then he sent it to an inker.
I like Otley's. I own several of Otley's pencil pages, and
super tight.
Couple inked, and a couple that he inked himself. So I think it's foolish for an artist these days to be doing digital. It's a losing proposition because of the way the comics industry is structured. You are never going to make the money you should be making if you're doing digital. And there, it is whatever. I mean, I love another thing that Jason, you're saying about how they used to mail the pencils. Riley Rossimo and Daniel Warren Johnson did that for The Moon Is Following Us, because they're both doing art on certain pages. And so they're mailing them back and forth to each other. So it's like, it's cool to see people embracing the traditional, because, the more digital art that comes into comics, the more this original stuff's going to go,
Oh yeah,
away.
and you see it even more so with the colorists.
Yeah,
like you don't see nearly as much.
Nobody colors hand colors
You just
anymore.
don't see it anymore. Like I'm working on a deal for one of my first color guides.
Oh, cool.
Because it's done by Barry Windsor Smith. Because he
Oh,
did
wow.
a lot of his own color work. So like I'm never gonna own an actual pencil ink. Like I'd have
Don't say never.
I know. I'll caveat that a Weapon X.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, that's fine. Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a Weapon X cover guide, color guide, but it's it was done by the guy. So for me, that's special. Like I totally agree. I think the less digital, the better.
Yes.
I will say though, on digital, earlier this year, I know Dave, you watched, you were there live when I did my Christmas special. I wanted to get a bunch of my friends a commission for Christmas, and my theme was I wanted like all our favorite characters together in like a group, and I just thought this is gonna cost so much money to get a true artist to like draw this up in a traditional way. But then I found this artist out of Brazil who does digital stuff, and I was just like, well, this makes so much sense, because I was just gonna get a print done anyways and send all these prints to my friends. Ended up getting this insane deal on this piece of art that is mine, I mean, like, sure, the he's got a copy, I guess, too, but like it's still mine. It served the purpose that I wanted, and it didn't kill me in the pocket, which was really good. So I mean, I think the digital side of things does create some accessibility for us, early entry guys into the collecting of OA. But I'm with you guys too. Like I want the like real, in my hands, tangible artwork as a collectible generally.
I'll say this. I think it's important, if people are going to be collecting and getting these blue lines, that they know that they're blue line. Oftentimes, some of these dealers won't tell you because they themselves don't know. If they're not repping the artist and they're getting it through a third party, like someone wanted to sell it to them, unless they do their due diligence, they're not going to know. And everyone does their process differently too. So, for example, I know with the Batman stuff from Greg Capullo and Glapion, they sell their sets together. By the page. You're not only getting the pencils, you're getting the inks.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
I had a set. I forget the name of the artist right now, but I had a Batman set of pages from a different artist inker, and I got them as a set. I eventually sold them, but I mean they have it like that. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll do a mix where there'll be some pages that are penciled but not inked on. So they'll send the digital image to the inker. So they're separate pages, but then that same book, some of those pages are penciled and inked as well. You got mix.
Oh God.
This is from Brett Booth, and it's also
a lot of that on the Spawn, the shooting Spawn one. They did that a lot.
Gunslinger.
Yeah.
So with Bagley and Andrew Hennessy, sometimes you'll have pencils and inks, and sometimes they'll be separate. But you need to speak to, in that particular case, that's Spencer Beck, his rep, about that.
Yeah, not somebody I ever want to speak to again.
But
I'll go on record. I don't really like any of the reps I've ever dealt with the exception of one or two. I find them to be just the salt of the earth. Wait, no, that's a compliment.
That's a good thing, yeah.
The scum of the earth. There we go. The scum of the earth.
Well, they're essentially they're agents, right? Like, I mean, like, agents are generally not there to be liked. They're like lawyers, right? They're
It's true.
But it's nice
like
when you
Scott
run into
Boras
a
in
nice
Major
lawyer.
League Baseball.
Yeah, there you go, Scott Boras.
Yeah, exactly. Just to circle back quickly to the card art. Dave, when you in one of your videos last year from the OA Expo, showed that Hildebrand art from the Masterpiece set and the 94 Masterpiece set.
Oh yeah, in the gallery when I was showing
that's my set from
well, I mean,
I would kill for a piece from that set.
Well, and that's the thing with the 90s card art. You've got the biggest names. You've got the Hildebrands, you've got Joe Jusko, you've got Jim Lee. And then if you go, if you go to like Marvel Masterpieces 93, you got Steranko, Sienkiewicz,
Dave DeVries was big on the card.
And Dave Dorman on the Star Wars side. And then if you go to the Marvel Universe Series 2, it was Larson, Adams, like everybody was in it. Bagley does an entire set. I mean, you have the masters of their craft, but the painted stuff with the Hildebrands and Jusko, I mean, those pieces have some size to them, and they're just beautiful to see in person.
Someone just got a steal for the Greg Hildebrand blade on eBay for $2,500. It went like whoever nabbed that out there, I'm applauding you. That it ended on a Monday morning, and I was sitting there and I had a meeting and I was like, oh, and I was like, blade's not in my like my wheelhouse anyway, but I was like, I was just hitting people up like, buy this, you should buy this. Like I was just trying to get someone I knew to buy it, but everyone was working.
This like all along this little ledge, I can't quite figure out how to do this. That ledge right there, that's all that set.
Oh, nice.
Of Hildebrand art from the 94 set. It's near and dear to my heart because it's really like, but even beyond before comics, that's what really got me into Marvel and along with cartoons and stuff. So
I love their art as a kid too. Between the set, between the Star Wars art, between Wolverine, was it Wolverine 90? The cover that they painted, and then Kubert did the illustration on it. It would be nice to own a really nice piece.
The cards were my introduction to Stelfreeze.
Yeah, there you go. There's another.
He's got just amazing work.
Stelfreeze was just at Terrificon this year, and
such a nice guy.
He's going to be at Heroes this year as well. Yeah,
he's going to be at OAX next week.
Shinmo just got his first published pages this past year. That's kind of my one of my hopes for this year is to get a published page. Heritage just did a big sale last week. Yeah, and I was eyeballing a few pieces, and I was just nothing was just like, okay, I want to spend that kind of money on that page yet. Like there were some Submariner pages and stuff that I really liked, but I was like, if I'm gonna break into this money for this kind of page this year, I just want it to be something like I really like love, like maybe a Colossus page or something.
Of course, it has to be a Colossus page.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, ideally, I love Submariner too, but I just the ones that I really liked out of that auction went for too high than what I was yet willing to spend. I got to work my mind up to the cost of some of these.
You got it. Like the biggest advice I can give you in comic art is patience and go big. If you're gonna buy the art and you're gonna spend the money, don't kick yourself down the road. Save up and get the one you really want. Like that's what I mean by I have less FOMO. Like I've had less FOMO in my life than I ever had once I left comic books, because like I always felt like I needed, like I was like, oh, buy what was hot or whatever. Now it's just like, no, I want that very specific piece of artwork, and now I'm going to wait until I own that specific piece of artwork.
I'll tell you about a little bit of like a come back to reality moment I had this year or this past year. When it comes to original art, like just not knowing what things go for yet and like being a total noob. I think it was Comic Connect had a big auction, and they had the cover of Uncanny X-Men 122, my favorite cover.
That's
Colossus.
Right, I remember getting that catalog for that in the mail.
And I just like, I'm thinking, I was like, I want this. Like this, if there was ever something I wanted in life, this was it.
Is that a cover?
It's Colossus in the danger room, you know.
Yeah, and he's holding the spike
spike
killers back.
Yeah. And I just complete no knowledge of what this actually was worth, because if I knew, I wouldn't have even thought about it. But here I'm thinking, like, I'm gonna scratch together $10,000. I'm gonna buy this thing.
You could buy like a corner of it.
Right. Like it went for six figures. I don't even remember it was how high six figures, but it was like, and that was just like, oh, I'm never getting a piece like that, am I?
Auctions will break your heart so fast.
Yes.
You sit there, you'll be the winning bid. You're like, oh, I'm in the winning bid for 20 days on Heritage.
And then you just
I'm gonna get this.
I didn't bid. It's like I didn't bid. I'm more of an at the end bidder. Like I only bid if I'm in the it's in my ballpark price wise.
I just do it so I can feel like I have a chance.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to be in the game. See, I'm a little bit different than Sam, because all of the pieces of art that I could ever want are beyond my means by 5 lifetimes. You know, like there's no lifetime where Dave's gonna own a McFarlane ASM cover.
I feel that.
You're right, because I don't have a house worth of money to sell. You know, like I don't have just an extra house in my bank account to be like, you know. So I take what I like when I see a piece from an artist I love. I'm like, if I can get that, I'll get that. You know, like you know, with McFarlane, I have 2 ASM pages. They don't have Spidey on them, so I didn't spend the money that requires. He's never sold any Spawn art, so I'll never have a chance to get it unless he sells it. And like you said, I can't. If there ever was pages from Fantastic Four 48, 49, or 50, I'm never going to be able to buy them, because once again, don't have a truckload of cash. So when I see a piece I can afford from an artist I love, I'll buy it and then think like, okay, if another one shows up down the line, then I'll have 2, and then I can sell the one
Flip
that
it.
You know. So, you know, I do go big in that regard.
Totally.
But I can't be like, you know, oh yeah, let me just see if I can get that first Deadpool page. Fuck it, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean it within reason. Like, it's gotta be like, I'm not going to be like owning the cover of anything like that's not more modern. Like, like my best cover is an Alan Davis cover, but from it's a 90s X-Men Alan Davis cover. But again, that was by trade. Like, it was a lot of what like I do with my collection is at the end of a year or the beginning of a year, I'll look at all my pieces and be like, what can I let go of and what can I consolidate upward to? And I'll try to trade 5 to 6 pieces for one big piece.
That's a good idea.
So that's what I've been doing a lot with my collection. Like I'll end up with less pieces and I'll have to figure out where like move stuff around but I end up with pieces that have more historical and more value to them. Each year it culls out a bit, and I just keep trading up as much as I can. Like, I do spend money. I definitely do. Usually it's if I sell something, I can buy something is my usual rule. But the trading is where I've gotten a lot of my best pieces, like the Sam Keith trade.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Gave up a Jim Lee Punisher, John Romita Jr. Storm page. There were a few other pages in there. It was a 5 for 1, but it's just I'm probably a bit of a nag. I probably annoy some of the reps, but I'm always just like, how close are we to getting this over the goal line? And then I'll just be like, I can get rid of that. And because if it gets me, and then I'll usually like my biggest move is if like, I don't want to curse. If I screwed up on this, like I overpaid for like my Punisher Jim Lee page. Like I was when I first really was breaking into the art during COVID. I wanted something by Jim Lee super bad. It was a beautiful page. Not that it wasn't a beautiful page. It was just I definitely overpaid. But then I was able to parlay that Jim Lee page with some others for the Sam Keith. So I was able to rectify my mistake. So that's what I try to do. Like I screwed up a trade and I over traded for a Brett Booth piece, but then I was able to parlay that Brett Booth with a couple others for a Del Auto painting. published paintings. So it's just, that's kind of how I do it. Like I do, like, my main goal was buy as much X-Men artwork before the MCU got a hold of them, because I knew the FOMO would catch up to me with the market. But once I did that, it was more of like, how can I parlay these into moving up?
Yeah, it's a good way to go about it, you know, and it probably saves you from spending money you shouldn't.
Yeah, and
While
like I
keeping
said,
your
what the
collection.
best part is, it helps me erase mistakes, because you're always going to make mistakes. Like,
Yeah.
you're learning, like any new hobby, like you're gonna botch it. You're gonna overspend, or you're gonna miss a piece where you should have spent, or like, you can't kick yourself for those. The only thing you could do is see what's the best avenue I can take to rectify it.
So that's a perfect segue into my next question, which is kind of this, you know, unlike comics, this seems like a really hard market to understand the value and pricing things out. And what are kind of like some ways to do that? Or are there resources to do that? Like what do you guys do when it comes to that sort of thing?
It's definitely tough, but you watch enough auctions, you start to see where prices are going, and it becomes actually pretty easy to get into a ballpark. Like, this is going to go for this, and this is going to, you know, and then when the surprise happens, it starts a new trend. So there was something recently. Oh, it was the Adam Hughes Vampirella cover that went for some fucking crazy amount of money. It's like the highest anything he's ever done has ever sold. And I can't remember. I don't know if it cracked 100 grand, but that starts a trend. And then you'll start to see Adam Hughes pieces go up and up and up.
Yeah.
It just takes one person to really want something to completely start a tidal wave of price trends. And then reps. You can look at, I mean, the market for Daniel Warren Johnson's art is Felix. The market for Nick Dragata's Absolute Batman, set by Felix.
Albert Moy.
Yeah, Albert Moy, Jim Lee, Sam Keith, Bruce Timm. So you just got to spend time looking at all of these things, and you start to get an idea. It's actually a lot easier to figure out the comics, because you don't really take condition isn't as much of a factor.
Go to comicartfans.com and live on there for hours. Hours. I spend hours a day.
Shout out to Bill and Kazra.
Yeah, amazing. Everything. I love that. Everything they do. Like,
I just discovered that site.
It is the best site to be a comic art fan.
And as of today or yesterday, their app is available to the entire public, so you can put. I've had it on my phone for a couple weeks.
The app is awesome.
That's what I need. I need it on my phone, because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't sit at my computer very often. Just like
I sit on my phone and I zoom into the little thumbnails, and
I was doing that. I was like, this is such a pain in the ass. Like, trying to like find. It's just, there's so much little script and images all over the place. It's hard to do on your phone. I was like, maybe I should start using my iPad a little bit more because I'll like doom watch YouTube and then be on my phone looking at, you know, Instagram and everything else, right? So it's it'll be good that if it's got an app and stuff like that too.
I think the thing that people should take into account is we're talking about big numbers, but you don't have to spend a lot to get artwork.
Right.
So don't be discouraged. I mean, if your goal is to get a cover of X-Men by Jim Lee, good luck with that.
That's right. Right. That's the thing. Yeah.
Realistic about what you can get within the budget you have without mortgaging your house and sacrificing your children or to get things. And so, you know, for example, when Greg Hildebrandt was brought up, I just remembered that his widow has a sale on his artwork right now. And what you could do is on his site, it's like 20% off. But the thing, what he would do is before he saw these beautiful paintings, he would sketch these out.
Yeah. So
he has a lot of sketches of these card art pieces out there for like not much, $40, $50. His original piece, it may not be the painted piece, but you've got a piece. And it's like, you got to factor in, who do you want? How much can you spend? How much can you save? Do you have patience? And take all that into account and see what's out there in terms of sales. Not only from the dealers, because the dealers always mark up the stuff. Mm-hmm. Beauty of comic art fans is there's a section there that's sold solely by other collectors. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always like on a weekly basis there just to see what's being sold by the collectors, because sometimes they're looking to sell from their to buy a bigger piece.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and they want to move it quick. It's priced to move. So like on Comic Art Fans, you have the dealer side, and then you have just the regular people just selling their stuff side. And I compare constantly. What are people doing on each side? And then the other thing, you can always start small. Like I said, like be patient, because like it'll save you some time, in my opinion, if you have the ability to put the money away. Mm-hmm. But for example, I'm sitting next to a cover by J. Scott Campbell.
I've heard of him.
I started with a prelim of a it was a DC one with it was Batgirl. We'll just go with Bart. It was the Sirens. I forget their full.
Gotham City Sirens.
Thank you, Gotham City Sirens. Shows you how out of DC I am now. Not that I don't love it, but I started with a prelim, then moved up to a really nice Emma Frost sketch by J. Scott Campbell, and then fast forward 5 years later, and I own a published cover. And again, that was trading, selling. Like every year, you should look at your collection and be like, what can I be okay with not having anymore?
That's
like it's really hard. It is hard, and it's painful every year when I do it. But I'm grateful at the end of each year that I've done it, because I'm always looking around like, whoa, I now own this because I was willing to give up all of that.
That's definitely something I have a problem with. Like giving up stuff is
it's tough.
Yeah.
But also,
it's tough.
Also, you wanna realize, just because they're asking for the price doesn't mean you have to pay that price.
There's that too.
There's also the fact that if they're asking for a certain price, that doesn't mean they need that cash up front right then and there. You can talk to people and say, look, I can't give you this cash right now. I could give it to you in 3 months time span. So I'll give you a payment now, another payment on the first next month, and then the final month, the final payment, and you send me the page. I've gotten a lot of pages like that.
I live on payment plans, bro.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. Don't feel ashamed about it.
No, it's the only way.
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, I actually supposed to start a payment plan with a friend, but he's in no rush, and so I'm not in a rush for a piece. But because not everybody can just be like, oh, that's a nice $7,000 page. I'd like to buy it right now. Not, and that's
or
even a $2,000 page, or a $1,500 page.
90% of my published pages payment plan. The other 10% traded.
There you go.
I don't think I've bought a single thing like here's $5,000. Like here's 75, or whatever it is. It's always been like, hey, can I pay, like, give me four or 5 months? Like, can we? It's that a lot of them just want to move it. They don't want it sitting there in their inventory.
Well, and I tell people, like, when I've talked about it on my channel, I tell people you can't go in like a crazy person. Like I do things like a crazy person. I do not tell anybody else to do things like a crazy person. You can't do payment plans with auctions, so you got to watch out when you're playing around with that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But no, it's easy to start small. I mean, I started small, very small, like a couple of $100 here, a couple $100 there. Like bidding on some smaller things on Heritage that were a total of like $250 shipped or something like that, and then I worked up the courage to just close my eyes and click and click and click and click until I won. And then I worked up the courage to reach out to artists and be like, how much do you want for that cover? Let's do this, and, I strongly recommend, if you are thinking about getting into art, go to a major con, go to Heroes.
Oh yeah.
Go to Baltimore and walk up to your artist, walk up to your favorite artist and look through their portfolio or ask them about their commissions. Like,
if you're overseas, go to Cuomo.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to Cuomo, but I went to
I
Tokyo
want
Comic
to. That's a
Con.
bucket list for me. But if you're
Yeah,
already out there, go. It's supposed to be the coolest, I hear.
yeah.
And don't be discouraged by the lines in front of the artist. Oftentimes, the lines in front of the artist are people looking to speak to them, to get an autograph, which is cool. But if your job is just to get the art, goes to the front and say, "Can I look at your portfolio?" Don't waste. Because some people just wait in line thinking, "Oh, I need to speak." No, don't waste your time. Speak to the artist, speak to their wife, or speak to their rep and ask for their portfolio. You get that portfolio and you see what's available. Because often it's a first come first serve basis. So the earlier you get the art, the earlier you get to see most of what's in that portfolio, and you can figure out, do I want this? Do I not want this? I actually like this piece. Can you hold it for me? I have to go to the ATM to get you cash, or maybe you can work a price with me on it. Like, these are the things you need to do to get that artwork first before anybody else. So,
and one thing I learned kind of the hard way was Mark Silvestri was in Toronto for the Toronto con this summer, and I wanted to get a sketch cover from him, and I got there on the second day, like midday, and he was already booked up for the day. And so sometimes they book up like for the whole weekend on the first day, or they book up for the day early on. So you got to like be there, get in
pre-show commissions too,
type of thing. But also you can sometimes reach out to them even in advance of the show, right?
I'm gonna be at X show, or you guys have
pre-show commission.
And just because something might be lower tier now doesn't mean it's lower tier 5 to 10 years from now.
I mean, doesn't mean it's lower tier 5 months from now.
Perfect example, Dave.
Yeah, like I bought 2 covers from Peach Momoko on each side of last year, and the price jump from the beginning of the year to the price jump at the end of the year was significant.
Oh yeah, like my Clayton Crane Strife was just a con painting he did, and now it's something that like I'll never give up.
Yeah.
David Finch, he had headshots for $300. Now they're, I think, $800.
Oh yeah, it's bananas.
In the same year, which is 2024.
Because the market, the art market is starting to be a little more like the comic market. You're getting this influx of new people. No offense, Ryan, and we love the new people. Just the more the merrier. I love seeing a community grow. I love seeing a community have more people in it that bring just more knowledge and more love of the artwork to the table, and that's the best part. And but with that will come some significant spikes in prices. Like you're seeing it especially in the commission world, especially with the repped artists. The commission prices are being bumped each year. Like it seems like each year, each new con cycle, they're getting a little more of an increase.
And I think that there will be some pushback eventually when people aren't able to afford it, you know, but there might not be. I don't know. I mean, commissions are great. I've learned that I'm less of a commission person than I am a published art. My commissions are always the fucking weirdest thing, which that's my vibe. Like I have 4, I'm going to have, as of OAX, I'm going to have 4 Darth Jar Jar commissions, you know, and you know, I have a Turok 1 recreation cover. You know, I don't want like, oh, give me Wolverine. No offense, because I love Wolverine, but give me Wolverine battling Magneto. It's like, no, give me fucking Garfield punching, you know, the president in the face or something like
I can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But getting that, just to let you know, for those who are listening, there are people who get weird commissions like that, and that's cool. But realize when you do that, don't expect the money you put into it to be returned to you.
I don't care. Yeah, I want to put money literally in the pockets of artists.
Sure, but some people, they'll sometimes think, maybe if they need money, maybe I could resell it. In the reality, who else are you gonna find who's gonna want a piece like that? That's fair to say someone who likes Batman and you have a better shot of selling something like that. So,
if I find somebody who wants my Darth Jar Jars, man or woman, we're getting married.
We're getting married.
If that's where your sense of humor goes, let's live our lives together.
We belong together.
Yeah. I mean, but Jason, you're totally right. Like, it's a very, like, if you do get a basic commission, not in the artwork's basic, but like, X-Men versus the Avengers, something cool, your resale on that will definitely be there. But yeah, if you get like Moon Knight taking a dump or something, you're not going to find too many people that want that. But cover recreations are something that they've always been a thing. There are guys that have done it, from Kirby to Layton. I've seen plenty of Kirby recreations that he did, and Bob Layton's like the king of cover recreations.
Mike Royer does a bunch of work.
Yeah, Royer does a bunch. Those are actually very interesting because, you could say, oh, it won't have the resale value, but then I remember Kirby did was it an AF-15 recreation that went on Heritage maybe last year, and it went for like $45,000, crazy.
He didn't do a lot of Spider-Man artwork. He only did very select. He did that like Marvel Mania cover.
Yeah.
I think,
and
but then the rest was Ditko and Ramita. So like you don't have a lot of Kirby Spider-Man pieces. So whoever did that was pretty smart with it. Like it just depends on if you really want to retain the money, you want to go, like, you want the artist to have this like specific character they're known for. It just depends on what your view of the collection is. Like, sounds like you want the artist you just love. Like, I get that. Like for me, it's just like every X-Men piece I get a hand on, I'm getting it if I can. Like, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like you pick the things that really speak to you, but starting small, you really do have to. You can't just get the Omega Red cover. Like that's
no, you can't.
But you can. The other alternative is like, oh, what if I met what if I got Wills to do a cover recreation of X-Men 282, or at least something like that. There are options, there are lanes, there are many ways you can collect, but I just want to remind people, like, the important part of spending money with your favorite artist, if you can, is so much more than anything else you could do, because we have seen just in the last couple of years, like, some of our heroes passing away and not having a ton of money to take care of themselves or whatever. And, it's a very unforgiving business. It's beyond unforgiving. Comics will they will screw the artists and the writers over as much as they can. So if you can, I know David Nakayama is super approachable, or a guy like, oh man, I'm trying to can't remember his name. But you just go to the cons, go to Baltimore or go to North Carolina Heroes, or if you're on the West Coast, I guess Emerald City.
If he's at the con, talk to Mike Royer. He is the coolest person in the world to talk to about comics. He will talk to you for as long as you'll stand there, which meant a lot to me when I got to meet him. And he knows everything. He worked with everyone. He saw everything with his own two eyes.
He's my favorite Kirby anchor.
Oh yeah, and I've never had more fun than I was at a small art show in the Bay Area. I'm trying to remember which one it was. It was a few years back, and it was a dream. Like getting to I talked to him for like an hour.
That's cool.
I think it's also I would, just from my small experience, like talk to some of the artists that aren't necessarily, they're more like the artist alley artists that are trying to like break in, because they are super talented, or they're in, but they're not like big household names yet. Because I had a conversation with this one guy, Bobby Breed, at Terrificon, and he was just like the nicest guy. I ended up just kind of randomly, like, I don't know, we looked at each other, and I was with a couple friends. We ended up having this long conversation with them. And when I was done, I was like, that's it. I'm gonna get something from him. And I ended up walking away with this like incredible,
dope
sketch
cover.
Awesome.
And who knows, like, worst or the least thing that came out of it was an awesome conversation. somebody I can follow on IG and this amazing piece of art, but you know, he might blow up, he might become a, you know,
Can
a
I just
star, and like,
can I
you
make a
got it on the ground
recommendation?
floor.
I want to just make a quick recommendation. There's a show coming up in March in Connecticut called IC3. It's going to be in its second year. Comic art fans and OAX just bought the show and is partnering up, and it is going to be hundreds of independent artists that are breaking into comics, that are self-publishing stuff. You could go to this show with $500 in cash, walk away with a short box of self-published books and probably handfuls of art. These are hungry artists, and I don't mean it like they're starving. I mean, well, there might be starving artists, but these people, there are a lot of friends of mine that are going to be there. Their commission rates are great. They are talented as fuck, and they're all doing traditional art because they realize that if they want to break in and sustain making comics, their commissions are what are going to do that. You know, it's called IC3. It's in New Haven in, I want to say like the second weekend of March. It's a one-day show. It's either free or $5 to get in. It's something crazy.
That's Chinmo's neck of the woods. So that's
yeah.
great recommendation
and you know, I'm through the cartoonist kayfabe community, I've met a lot of people that are creators, and I'm getting commissions from friends of mine, and they're blowing me out of the water, and they are not that expensive, and it's only a matter of time before somebody decides to give them a book or publish their book at Image, and those commission rates go from 11 by 14 piece for $180 to $400.
Yeah, Albert Boyd just added 3 or 4 artists to his rep list just this year.
Yeah,
just like a couple days ago it was announced. Yeah,
that's how I Justin Mason. So Justin Mason right now, he's working on a bunch of the Spider-Man titles throughout Marvel. But prior to that, I discovered him on Instagram. Someone had posted on the on a Facebook forum sketch. There's a forum I'm part of on Facebook that collects all the pricing for sketches, autographs, so people can go there, do some research on each artist that they're looking to get a commission or autograph from, be prepared monetarily so that when they go to a con, they don't have sticker shock. A lot of people that go to these cons don't realize the cost, especially if they're repped. When it's repped, it's usually even higher. So I usually recommend people do that. And so I saw someone posted a piece of artwork of his on that forum. I went directly to him on Instagram, and they got a lot of pieces for like really dirt cheap. And now he's repped by Essential Sequential now. To get a piece from him right now is quite a bit, depending. Like I think you're better off buying a printed published page, which by the way, his artwork is very kinetic, like beautifully done, very within budget. Highly recommend him. I've got an original page of his because he was the first person to work on the new series Spider-Punk. I picked up a page from that run, and I had the writer and him sign that page as well when I saw them at New York Comic Con. So, I mean, a lot of these people have to start somewhere.
And as soon as they get repped, like you said, it's like, phew. I mean, I tried to get a page from Absolute Batman 1, didn't happen. I tried to get a page from Absolute Wonder Woman 1, and that didn't happen because they're both Felix, and it's like Ticketmaster, except they're not bots; they're actually humans buying the art.
Oh, and just look at Art Adams, the difference in his commission prices just in the last couple of years because he went from unrepped to repped.
Yeah.
Not that I want to see art make money because I love art, but Art Adams, but yeah, this rep stuff really sets an artificial floor.
Yeah, and then anything published of his on the secondary market, it's bananas.
Oh yeah.
When I came years ago, let me give you the year. The year was
1942. I just got back from the war.
2014. I was on the CGC forums, and someone was offering commissions, headshots from him, and so.
Oh, that's right. You got that.
At the time, $300. Oof. And to me, that felt like so much money.
Yeah.
So much money. And I was scared because I'm like, I don't know if they're going to rip me off or something. But I'm taking a chance and then I'm thinking, who do I get? And I remember that great X-Men group
Classic
shot
X-Men one
with Wolverine in the middle. I'm like, I'm getting a Wolverine. So I asked for Wolverine, and it took a while because he takes a while.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm nervous about it, thinking, all right, maybe I got ripped off. Eventually got to CGC, encapsulated it, and then I'm getting it. And it's absolutely amazing. And now that same piece would be $1,500 now.
Oh, yeah.
Not 500. I mean, I would get a 500 one too because they're nice. But the detail I got with this one is now $1,500 if you want something like that. And I have it on the calf. And so I'm always having people asking me, "Oh, well, would you sell it?" I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to sell it.
Well, you're a New Yorker. You actually have to send them a picture of you going like this. What?
Well, it just shows you how the market, like the market didn't catch up to the artwork like it did with the comics during COVID. It lagged with the art.
Well,
I think that was my opportunity because so you're speaking about Art Adams. I was able to buy the published Chef Boyardee X-Men, one of his Chef Boyardee. I got the one with Wolverine, Rogue, and Beast. And
I remember he posted it.
Yeah, it's now framed with it's been framed now with I found the actual label. I was able to get a label. But at the time it was $6,000 for the piece. Like I'll say it. I spent some money on it. Everyone was like super overpriced, blah blah blah, but I knew it wasn't. I was sitting there like you're basing that information on old news. And I sold my Fantastic Four first appearance of it was a 1.5 Doctor Doom, first appearance Doctor Doom.
Yeah, you can get that anytime you want. Any day you want.
And just boom, bought me some Art Adams artwork, and now it's one of my favorite. It's in my kitchen. I look at it every day and makes me happy.
Great place for it. Great place.
Oh yeah.
But Ryan, that's the thing. Like, you can get any of the comics that you have again.
Oh yeah, they're there.
There are thousands, hundreds of thousands. You know,
just check them CGC censuses. That's what made me. That was when I knew I was switching. I looked at all them CGC censuses. I was like, I'm out the door. I want the art.
But that one page might never come up again, right?
Oh yeah,
never. And if it does, it might.
I will die with that Art Adams.
Yeah. So
Chef Boyardee.
It's a good point.
Listen,
you guys
the only way to get it, you got to take them out.
Yeah.
Got to take them out.
All right, I wanna jump into showing some artwork after we've talked about all this stuff. I just want one quick question. We don't have to dwell on it long. Just is more from my personal curiosity. So I want to start doing like a real nice jam piece that I can work on as I go to cons over the next couple years, and I want to get it mapped out first because I hear that's kind of a really good thing to do.
Have someone do a slight sketch out of it for you, and then you can bring it to the artists.
Yeah,
so that they have like a layout.
Yeah, so that's what I want to do. Any recommendations on artists that are good for that, or have you had any good experience with anyone?
I have a buddy who just recently did a big jam piece. I will reach out to him for you. I will get the information of his person who did his layout. He's done 2 of them now, and they're both beautiful, both Spider-Man ones. And he had someone do that. They just like did a digital layout of what he wanted and then sent him a print of it, and then he just took it to each Comic-Con he went to and was like, this is what I want done. Went to like Silvestri, he went to, I forget, he had a bunch of people on it. He got a small Venom by McFarlane on it.
Wow. Cool. All right, well, that's great.
Yeah, I'll get you that info ASAP.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, let's jump into some art. Who wants to kick it off?
All right. So I talked about this, and I've showed this on my channel before, but at the NHL store in like 2012 in New York City, McFarlane was going to be there, and I worked in Manhattan, so I was like, let me go down there, and I brought my pad. Long story short, nobody really showed up to the signing, and I asked Todd, "Did you do a sketch?" And he obliged, and I got this insanely awesome
NHL store.
Yeah, it was the NHL store. It was the release for like the 7th series of the NHL figures, and so he was there.
Oh, right.
And I brought the pad, and yeah, he was like, he looked at his son just shrugged his shoulders.
That's a
and he did it.
keeper.
That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, I mean, I'm so I don't. It's not even framed because I'm scared to even have
take it out
anybody
of the
touch
book.
this. Yeah. So
you should get one of those shadow boxes.
Yeah,
just
shadow
put it
box.
in. Just put it in while it was just in the binder.
You know, the funny thing is, there's a Eric Powell goon sketch in here too that I got at New York Comic Con like a year or so.
I love
after
seeing
that.
sketchbooks, man.
Yeah. I have a different sketchbook, but this was just the one that the McFarlane's in. So this thing will, never leave my cold, dead hands. So that was like the piece that was like, okay, if I never have another piece of art, that's fine. But one of my more recent acquisitions was I finally got a page from Bernie Wrightson's Spider-Man Hooky, which is Bernie painted with
awesome.
His wife at the time, and it's just
beautiful.
Yeah, it's such a unique piece. It's on a thick Bristol board, so I have to get it, carefully framed. Like, this has to go to an art framer. This can't go to anything else. Once again, I'm terrified of like letting people touch this stuff. Generally I keep my stuff in portfolios. I just started doing some framing of commissions that I'm framing myself because they're commissions. I'm not worried about anything. But another piece that I bought, a character in a book that's near and dear to my heart since I was a kid, this James O'Barr full sketch of the Crow from 1992.
That is beautiful.
Man. Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
I love his work.
And his art style obviously changed over the years. It got a little more unrefined, I guess you want to call it. But this is from when I met it. I didn't get this myself, but I met him in 92 and 93. And I'm like, I want something from that era. And so there's that. And then, I don't know, I'll show off like...
Dave, is that, so you didn't commission that?
No, I bought this. I won this on an auction for way less than it should have gone for. I think I won this for under $1,000. I'm like,
the thing just screams caliber.
And is that just something he did, or was it originally a commission from someone else? Or
yeah, it was a commission from somebody else, but I bought it on Comic Connect, and yeah, I got it for under $1,000.
That's awesome.
So cool. I was like, how did somebody let that happen? So I, being a huge McFarlane fan, I'm not going to take them out, but I was fortunate enough to get 2 published pages from Amazing Spider-Man. Let me show those off. I'm going to show off a couple more things.
That is a feat.
Somebody else. Yeah.
Whether or not Spidey's in them, that's a feat, man.
No, Spidey's not in them, but this one is the chameleon from issue 307.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, with the burning Capitol building, the weird panel layout, the Todd hands. And then this one's from 308, the next issue, where Peter's in it after Mary Jane gets kidnapped. It's Blue Line, but it is inked by Todd, so it doesn't matter to me because that's what he did. He was doing 2 books at the same time. He was doing Hulk and Amazing Spider-Man. He had to cut corners whenever he could. I'll just show off 3 more pieces, and then I'll give the floor to somebody else.
Do it.
All right. This one was so a couple years ago. I'm just going to take this out because I want to.
Chris asked, how can he weasel his way into your will, Dave?
Chris, I have to adopt you.
Claim him as a descendant.
I know, Chris. You have to say you love what was it? Darth Jar Jar. Yeah. And you're good. You're good. He'll marry you, in fact.
So like 2 years ago, I was bidding on a double-page spread from Bernie Wrightson's Hooky, the Spider-Man Hooky. What's up, Trip? And I didn't win it, and I was really upset because it was one of those things where like I saw what it ended for, and it was just me just needed to bid like 100 or 200 more bucks.
Oh.
So I was pissed, and I was still watching the auction, the Heritage Signature auction, and it got to like the underground indie stuff, and I'm like, wait, there's a Jamie Hewlett Tank Girl Deadline Comics page in this auction.
Wow.
It's the 3rd appearance of Tank Girl by Jamie Hewlett. Deadline Comics. Oh, yes, that's right. We celebrate.
That's a banger right there.
Yeah, Tank Girl's 3rd appearance. in Deadline Comics. And if you don't know who Jamie Hewlett is, he didn't just create Tank Girl. He also co-created the Gorillas. And I won this, and I was like, did this
like
just
the
happen?
group? The group
Yeah.
Gorillas. That's
yeah,
awesome.
he's the artist behind the Gorillas. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
cool. And so, okay, that's Tank Girl. That's from Tank Girl's third appearance of ever.
Yeah, Deadline Comics
Very
number
cool.
3, the last page, and it's got this great paste up here.
Yeah.
And it's full on punk rock, you know, Jamie Hewlett just being Jamie Hewlett. So there's that, and then I just toss it on the floor. One of my
things we do for efficient live streams.
Right.
Exactly. So John Wayshak, I bought this cover from my buddy John Wayshak at Heroes this year. This is Emery Wars issue number 6, the variant cover, which is Claudio Sanchez's comic book from Coheed and Cambria. But John is one of the most talented artists on the face of the earth, and people are starting to really take notice because he did a bunch of Marvel card art, and then he did a Violator issue. He did issue 3 of the new Violator miniseries. John slings more ink than anybody out there except maybe like James Harren. I don't know. I don't even know who can sling more ink, but this thing's a gigantic piece, and his art is impressive. If you don't know John's art, you need to be following Wayshak. And the next one is the one I'll close with because it's super meaningful to me for multiple reasons. But I was a big fan of Cartoonist Kayfabe, Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg, and Ed passed away this past year. At the end of 2023, he had posted a photo of the stuff he was bringing to Baltimore Comic Con, and he was bringing this. His cover for Fantastic Four Grand Design, his variant cover for Fantastic Four Grand Design, which is Tom Scioli's book. And it's an homage to Dark Knight 2, which is one of the greatest. First of all, it's one of the greatest series of all time, but one of the greatest covers of Batman scrunched in by Frank Miller. Well, this was Ed's cover, and I hit Ed up, and I was like, hey, Ed, if that doesn't sell at Baltimore, let me know. And we kept talking, and, December of 2023, I was like, all right, I'm ready to buy it. Let's go. And I sent him the money, and he said he was so nervous to send this because he never really sent artwork like this, in the mail. And, we talked about it earlier, but getting to be the steward, getting to be the keeper of these beautiful pieces of art knowing that this is mine, I will take care of it. And if I ever have to sell it, it's going to go to somebody who cares about it just as much as I do. Because at the end of the day, like, the only reason why we read and look at comics, I mean, it's the difference between reading a book and reading a comic is the art.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's super important to me. And, Ed's legacy is a big deal to me. And I very close with the family now. So it's just nice to know that he didn't sell a lot of artwork. And I have the thing that I always wanted to own from him. So, but yeah, I have a lot of other pieces that I really love, but I figure it's just easy to highlight some stuff that means a lot to me. And, you can see some stuff back here, the Bruce Timm and all that. But, at the end of the day, I'm just, if I had to sell it all tomorrow, it would make me sad, but it would be nice. It's nice to know that, like, oh, I got to own this and support artists directly to get it too. So that's my story.
I love it. Awesome stuff.
Thanks.
Who wants to go up next?
I'll go. I've got some ready.
Jason's jumping in.
Yeah, let's see what Jason's got.
Thanks, Dave. Those were awesome pieces.
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome, Dave.
Thank you.
So you mentioned X-Men, and so I don't normally collect X-Men. I like them, don't get me wrong, but I was at New York Comic Con, and I went to Jim Calafiore's table.
Jim.
What kind of artwork he had. Because what he does is, this is what I mean by inexpensive artwork. Some of these artists will do pieces. Like in this case, he does daily sketches, and he sells them. Some are like, 50 and up. This one was 150, but you'll see why in a minute.
Oh, sick.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when you got that, actually, and I thought that was real sick.
Wolverine on top of a Sentinel.
With the stogie.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got to have the stogie.
Absolutely. And this is like a 9x12 piece. charged me $150 for it.
So cool. Oh,
and this is just an example of the artwork you can get. Sure, it's not published, but it's still beautiful and really detailed. And got to talk to him about his artwork. And again, you don't know where you'll find these artists. And he's a published artist. He had published pages, but this really spoke to me more than anything else. And then earlier I mentioned that Wolverine by Art Adams. So
let's see it.
We all do, Mike. We all do.
So fucking
beautiful.
Sick.
That's so cool.
You know, it's like, and like you said, the detail, like it's more detailed than what he's doing with those Wolverines these days.
And they're not, I mean, and I like those sketches too, but I mean,
sure.
You're gonna
gorgeous.
Go get them through. I mean, if you can't go to a con, go through CGC, and just because it's gonna be guaranteed to go up eventually. So that's my Wolverine piece right there. I have a few other sketch covers. One of the newest ones I got was I was watching 3 Men in the Basement, and Otto was at a convention up in the Northeast. I forget which one, Rhode Island or New Hampshire, and his video was scanning a particular table. And then I like to look at the comics on there, and one wasn't really a comic; it was a sketch piece. And so I asked him, "Who's at this table?" And he gave me their info, and I contacted them on Instagram, and it's an original Alex Ross.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No big deal. It's just Alex Ross.
So no
big deal.
Well, the thing is, Alex Ross right now, he'll sell sketch pieces that he done covers, but they're usually like $2K.
Oh yeah,
I got this for 3 figures, so it's like
a painted piece from Alex Ross.
Beautiful.
Is just like,
and he's gearing up for a gallery show this year. I think it's going to be in March. I know.
Yeah, it's coming out soon.
It's in Illinois somewhere.
It's like the biggest artist going right now, like one of them. So.
And years ago, I was able to meet up with Steve Dillon, who's best known for Punisher. And when he would show up at New York Comic Con, he would do sketches for the Hero Initiative for like $50. So I ended up getting.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh,
that's a nice
I'll argue he is the best. I mean, he is the greatest Punisher artist. Period. End of story. No offense to Jim Lee, but Steve Dillon put more Punisher down than.
Yeah,
more good Punisher down than anybody ever will.
Only person who comes close is Zach.
Yeah, Zach left a mark, but you know.
Oh yeah,
what Dylan and Ennis did together for over. A decade.
It's a special. That whole series is special.
Yeah.
As a Batman fan, I when I heard that Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were teaming up for a book, I got on that, and then someone was offering an opportunity to go get a commission from Kevin Eastman through them. It took me a bit, but I eventually got it. So I got this piece.
Hell yeah.
You should look into Freddie. I forget his last name. There's a guy, he did a lot of the artwork for the Batman Ninja Turtles series, the interior. And he did, there's a
Freddie Williams.
Yeah. There's a lot of, you can get it out there. They're
got Batman.
Oh shit, it's double-sided.
Oh,
yeah, that's great.
Burying the lead a little bit.
I am. I couldn't put them both on the front cover, so I wanted to.
He's a showman. He's a showman.
So,
you got to get, you know what, Jason, you should get one of the, the card people. They have those little things that just spin like they spin the card around. You got to get that for your slab. So like you turn around and it's Batman. You look back and it's
That's awesome.
There's a forum on Facebook. Again, a lot of people my age will be still on Facebook. Most of you probably won't be, but I recommend it just because a lot of the artists are still on there. And there's one forum called Deal or No Deal, where you can find artwork from people who are selling pages. And so I saw a whopper of one that I was surprised I was able to get. And it's Ed McGuinness, Superman Batman.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
With Lex Luthor getting bust.
Look at all those blacks spotted on there. That's amazing.
Yeah. Original pencils and inks. Dexter Vines, Ed McGuinness.
I love how Ed draws Superman.
Yeah. He's got such an interesting style. It's
that poppy cartoony style.
Yeah.
It's evolved over the years. I mean, it used to be very like everyone looked like a balloon, but like over time, it's like calmed down a bit. But I still love his artwork. I spoke about Justin Mason So this piece, I think I paid $250 for, and I think I should have paid triple that just because.
Whew. Whew.
Damn,
That
that's
is
a hell
detailed
of
and a
piece.
half.
Spider-Man versus Doc Ock.
That's so
Look
cool.
at all those little windows.
And look at the amount. Like he's doing a lot of scraping. It looks like some Zipatone on there. That's a really beautiful piece.
And it's got this fisheye effect too. If you look.
Definitely got some razor work in there. This is
the guy.
Ryan, how are you feeling about all this? You just like, are you like salivating, like getting ready to get your first piece?
Well, I do have.
Well, you have the Colossus piece,
but yeah, I'm salivating for more and bigger, and yeah, I feel like this might have been a bad idea, guys.
Dude, it's an obsession that's going to start very soon for you.
I love it.
Oh, it's already there. It's already there.
Got him. We got him, guys.
We got him.
I'm hooked.
One of us.
And Sam hasn't even shown off any X-Men work. He's gonna fucking.
I know.
Ryan's
I'll hold some
just
bangers down for you, dude.
Our little IG chat. I'm gonna name it like the OA friends, and that's just gonna be a thing now.
Hell yeah.
So we were talking about Blue Line Art earlier. So this artist worked on Superman 78 miniseries from DC, and the reason I loved it was because it's essentially a sequel to the original films, the first two films anyway. And this particular artist, his name is Wilfredo Torres. What he did was he drew it digitally, printed it out, and then inked it himself and applied a lot of different techniques to it. And it's Superman battling a bunch of the Brainiac.
Yeah.
So cool.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, I've seen his artwork, but I've never seen non in print. I haven't seen it out of in print. I've never seen his original art. Cool. I can't speak.
It was very detailed. He'll print it out, and then he inked it himself, and he did some kind of other techniques I'm not too familiar with to give it. He definitely used his fingerprints with some whiteout to do work on it as to do some effects on the circuitry of the
piece.
Yeah. And I'll show you
his machinery work, like how he like you can see how like the light, you can see the light hitting it. Tex.
Oh, I love this.
So I originally wanted this, which you probably see too well. I wanted a black and white headshot of Ghost Rider. I waited over a year, didn't come. I was speaking to his rep at the time. I'm like, look, I'm going to show up at this convention in New York, the Big Apple Con. I know he's going to be there. Please have him make sure it's ready. I go to the con Saturday to pick up another piece, and then I go to his table, and he's like, I still don't have it. And I'm upset at this point because I'd waited over a year for it, for a black and white headshot. And he's like, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, nothing. He's like, do you want to come to my table tomorrow and help me out, and then I'll get you the piece? I'm like, sure. And so what I expected was a headshot of Ghost Rider black and white, and he gave me a color, a full.
He made up for
it.
Yeah, dude.
So cool.
I love Tex. He's somebody that like I'm waiting to find the right page, but I'm ready to own a big Tex piece.
And this is
Alex Teixeira?
Mark Teixeira.
Mark Teixeira, sorry, yeah, but Mark Teixeira.
He worked on the Sabretooth miniseries. He worked on Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
He'll. I mean, if you want a piece right now, I think he still does them. A headshot pencil's $100.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't see it in here, but he actually drew skulls inside the eyes.
Yeah, I remember when you.
Oh my god!
I remember when you posted that. Yeah.
Crazy.
God.
Wow.
I love paintings. Anything painting, I want my hands on it.
He literally did this the last hour of the show, so I was able to see him and record a bit of footage of him.
That's dope. I love the process. Seeing these guys work, it's like magic.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Next victim.
All right. I pulled down quite a few pieces. I don't know if I'll show all of them. I don't want to take up too much time, but I'll get going here. We'll start with
that, Jason. Those pieces, I mean, awesome.
Thank you.
We'll start with this one though, because it's a special one.
So cool.
So this is Sam Keith, Wolverine Jubilee published page. It's a pretty well-known page. I think that copy, that book, I have the actual book somewhere here. I don't know where I put it down. But the book was one of like the higher selling Wolverine books at the time. So this is one of my favorite pieces in the collection. I gave up a Mark Teixeira Sabretooth piece. I gave up Punisher Jim Lee page, John Romita Jr. Storm double page splash. There were a bunch of pages I gave up to get this, but this was one of the things I needed in my life. Like I
And
needed a
so,
Sam Keith Wolverine, and I wanted one specifically with like his little like weird Wolverine style that he'd do. So
and
I
that's
was
purely just because you're like a big fan.
I love Sam Keith's work, and he
Yeah.
didn't do a lot of Marvel work. He did the Marvel Comic Presents run. He
Yeah,
did
yeah.
some Wolverine versus the Hulk, but a lot of that was very different style. His Marvel Comic Presents artwork is some of my favorite comic artwork that
Oh yeah,
exists.
he
And
revolutionized
so
a
this
lot.
was, I was willing to give up pretty much anything from my collection to get it. So I was able to talk. He's one of the reps, Cool Lines artwork. Into doing a deal with me.
Yeah,
And
like they will post their artwork and not give you pricing.
yeah, it can be a little rough, but
Yeah.
I usually, if I'm dealing with them, I like to do trades. I don't usually do purchasing as much, but there's someone who they're open. If you have artwork that they want, they're very open to trading. Next is another piece that I'm just going through the two that I took out of the frames because they needed to come out of the frames to show them better. This is a recent
Wow.
acquisition via trade as well.
Nice.
I gave up a few pieces to Ramita Man, Mike Berkey, because I've had my eye on this David Mack painting for quite some time. It was recently published by Kirby's artwork as a print, so that was a nice little addition to the collection. I finally had gotten a lot of my X-Men pieces, and I loved the Daredevil, all of the Netflix series, so I wanted to get a couple pieces that I could add to my collection to show that. I have a Greg Hildebrand painting of Charlie Cox in his Daredevil, the kind of makeshift one with the black hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that one's on the wall. That one's 20 by 30, so I couldn't quite pull that one off the
No
wall.
worries, no worries.
It's a splatter board. I'll post that one to the Instagram soon. Right behind me here is a J. Scott Campbell published cover. I said earlier in the let me pull this off. I can really.
What cover is it?
It's to X-Men Blue #1 when they did that big variant run. They did the X-Men Blue and the X-Men Gold. This dropped for sale. I think it was last year. It was 2023. I'm pretty sure when I got it. Someone put it up for sale, and I was like, "Hey, how fast do you need the money?" He was like, "I need it within at least 3 to 4 months." And I was like, "Doable."
I
Hold
love
that
that
for me.
Sentinel. The Sentinel's so cool.
Oh yeah, like I dreamed of having a J. Scott Campbell X-Men piece, and I couldn't imagine this one even came up for sale when it did. And it's signed by Stan Lee. It's one of my few Stan
Yeah, I
Lee
was gonna
signatures.
say that looks like Stan Lee.
It's one of my few Stan Lee signatures still in the collection, so I was really happy to. This one's gonna never leaving ever.
So cool. So cool.
Next is Jim Lee. Let's get this. Figure out the camera. Why am I not doing this right? Okay, I'm a little new to podcasting. I'm getting there.
All good, all good.
So this is from the Wildcats X-Men Silver Age storyline from the early 2000s. Jim Lee and Scott Williams. It's as close as I'm ever going to get to a Jim Lee X-Men page. It's technically an X-Men page.
Yeah.
You got Jean Grey and her Marvel Girl attire there. Zoom in on that. And then I've always loved Grifter, so it was kind of a twofer. This is on my Image Comics wall.
Yeah, and Grifter's still, I mean, in the DC universe, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. He's part of the DC. He was originally Image, but they've all kind of carried over into different places now. This one's a little bit different. It's a non-published piece. This is by Nat Jones. It's my only Spawn piece, but I'll never give this up. I love this piece. Let me see if I can get a better. It's a double page splash. It's a little hard to.
Yeah.
hold
No, I
all
can
at
see
once.
it's pretty amazing, that piece.
The cool story behind this was a gem find. I found this on eBay in like 2014, and it was dirt cheap. It'll never leave my collection. The cool story about it is, so Nat Jones did this piece to pitch McFarlane the idea of the hook chain weapon. So that was them storyboarding it and talking about it. And this was him, like, this is how it would function, how it would work, how it would look on the page. I love Nat Jones's style. Getting back into the X-Men for you, buddy.
Oh no, please, whatever you got. I'm loving everything.
So I mentioned this one earlier, so I'll show you. So this is the actual comic book, because the artwork doesn't exist in a tangible setting. This X-Force cover variant by Crane. So I have the next best thing, as close as you can get to the published piece. It's an acrylic painting by Crane. He did a very similar mock-up of, like, to be kind of a recreation of the cover. So, like, you can't own the actual cover because it's only digital. So it was something I was like, that would be fun to own. Like, and then I did something similar, buying this piece from Olivetti, because this also, they don't have. Let me see if I can get this on the screen. There's no actual tangible cover for the Messiah complex that he did as well. It was all digital. So I got an acrylic painting of that by Olivetti.
Ariel Olivetti's amazing.
Awesome.
Unbelievable. Like, I wish I could get my lighting a little better. I needed to have like a better studio with all this. But yeah, his work is just unbelievable.
Wow.
So cool.
I'll do a couple more. I don't want to bore you guys too much.
Boring. What?
I don't know. It's just,
you know,
like,
we're all
I don't know what I'm not
getting to see somebody else's collection is not boring.
Ooh. This is the little Peach Momoko I recently got. They were doing a calf philanthropic. It was just a little. Let's see if I get a little closer.
Oh,
just a little peach.
A little magic, yeah.
Yeah, the chibi style.
She's blown up like last.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. One of my favorite pieces in my collection. This is the first time in X-Men when Bishop and Cable meet each other. Part of the what was it? The God, how am I blanking on this?
Was it Executioner Song?
Yeah, Executioner Song. Thank you. God. Executioner Song. So this is the first time that Cable and Bishop meet each other. Wow. This is one of my favorite pieces.
And what artist is that?
This is Jai Lee and Milgram.
Awesome.
So Jai did the pencils and Milgram did the inks.
Wow.
Jai Lee, yeah, he had a wild style early.
I love his work on Namor is great. I love this page. I want to try to find the color guide to that one because the colors for it are just wild. I think Bucalato did the colors, Steve. Next, another one. This was another one I traded for. I'm telling you, trades have been how I've gotten so many of my bigger pages. This one I traded with Will's comic a few years back. I did give up a Kirby piece to get this. It was from the Heroes and Villains book. I used to own the Metron sketch from that, but I gave that up because I wanted a Deadpool circle chase page. This is by
Matt Herrera, right?
Yeah, it's by Joe Matz.
Yeah, I love that book.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite. I read that book, that series, that little mini series, like a million times as a kid. I love the art.
A ton of his art out there right now.
No, he left. He doesn't do as much. this is like I needed a Deadpool, and I saw that bottom panel, and I was like, "Yep,
Wow.
gonna find a way to own that." And I was like, "Hey, Will, what do you want? What artist are you looking for, my guy?" The Kirby put it over the top, though.
Yeah.
As it should.
Yeah. Here is, I mentioned it earlier in the talk, another trade. I traded when I was trading the Brett Booth piece. This is Gabriel D'Otto from the X-Force Sex and Violence story.
Mhm.
Cool.
Oh,
His,
yeah.
I mean, he's one hell of a painter.
Oh, yeah. I love the panel down there. See if I can get a good view there for you guys. Oh, yeah. I'm a huge Domino fan. And I loved how, like, the realism of Domino on that page,
Mhm.
like the way he drew her and like how it looks like a birthmark on her face.
Wow.
This is the one that usually everyone's like, oh, like, everyone kind of freaks out over this one.
I'm gonna guess. Can I guess the artist before you show it?
Yeah, go for it.
Is it Silvestri?
No, this is not the Silvestri one. That one's
Okay.
actually still on the wall. I should have pulled that one down, but I just posted it to IG. This is the
Bumper
Lee
next
Field.
time.
Oh.
This is the Lee Field Strife X46 splash, opening splash.
That lives
Strife
like that.
and Zero.
That panel
Wow.
lives like in my head rent free. That page.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge
I've been
Strife.
looking at that since I was 12.
Strife is one of my favorite characters from X-Men. I was lucky. I talked to Glenn of Panel Page a bunch, and he was like, "Oh, I just got some pages." This was, I think, in 2020 when I was just selling all my books. And he was like, "I just got some pages from Lee Field. I haven't put them up for sale yet. Here's, take a look." And I saw this one. I was like, "I need, like, how much? Like, what do you want?" It was a lot, but I sold. I was able to sell. I just was like,
So
"Give me a
sad.
number, and I'll sell the books." And I did, and I was able to get one of my favorite pages from my childhood.
Wow.
I really want a Liefeld piece from the 90s. Like I really want one, and I don't really care what it is. You know, it's just like because I know I'm gonna like it. Like was it John what's his name? John Inge? I don't know how to say his last name. He used to have that what if double page spread of the Hulk 181 piece, you know, from what it's from What If, but it's the opening double.
The Lee Field one. I know which one you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I mean,
You
to
have
me, that's the
the
greatest.
Wendigo, and it
Yeah,
has all the
Wendigo, Hulk, and
speckling on it.
Wolverine.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful page.
I know he just traded it or sold it or whatever, but like that's my favorite Liefeld piece that's not in New Mutants 98.
Yeah, I'm surprised he traded. I'll have to hit him up. I'm buddies
Yeah,
with him.
because
I'll
I
have
saw
to
it
ask
moved
him.
hands. Yeah, he posted or somebody posted that they got it from him.
Oh, I wonder if he did it to get that Silvestri cover. He recently got another Silvestri cover. So
Yeah,
it's
you got
possible.
the one of the ones from Messiah. Wasn't it Messiah
Yeah,
Complex?
his Silvestri collection's insane.
Oh,
I only have one Silvestri. It's on my wall over there. It's an early Jubilee splash.
oh, nice.
But here's a fun one. It's another great X-Force. If you can tell, I'm a big X-Force guy.
Seems that
Domino. This is a cool roll call page.
Wow.
This one's by Mark Pacella and
Mhm.
one of my favorite artists of all time, Dan Panoisian.
Mhm.
I'm trying my hardest to get a Dan Panoisian commission one of these days. I want to get a splatterboard of Muse done by him to go with my my Daredevil.
I think
One
he's going to
day.
be at OAX, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a painting and it's gonna be big, so I'm trying to get on. I'm talking to him and seeing what I'm gonna do. But we'll see where it goes.
Wow.
That's on the list. We'll see. Let me see. I think that's everything I pulled. Or no, I have one more.
Ryan, I'm going to grab one more piece to show off, okay?
All right. All right. I love it. I love it.
Actually, two more.
It's just something that we already talked about. So
this was the Grey Capullo Domino card art I was talking about earlier.
Very cool.
And then last but certainly not least, a little art germ Domino piece.
Very cool.
good old Stanley.
I met him. I met him this summer.
He's nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
That's,
I didn't really have a lot of conversation or anything, but yeah, it seemed like.
And then I guess since they're above me, I can show them. They're right here. Turn the lights up a little bit. Behind me is my Kubert wall. So here's Andy from
Sandy.
X-Men 25. Andy
Oh
Kubert
man,
here.
look at that. Cyclops
Gambit. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's one of my favorites. Another one of my childhood favorite pages. This is actually my favorite story arc of all of X-Men. Fatal Attraction.
Man, so cool.
And then over here is his brother, Adam. Also from Fatal Attraction. This is the page. It says a couple pages after Wolverine's been stripped of his adamantium. They're trying to get him back. And then last but not least, if I can get a good image of it, this is by their father, Joe.
Oh, wow.
So this is a painting done by Joe. It was originally done for a calendar. If you guys can see that okay.
Yeah.
And it used to hang at the Kubert School. I was able to add it to my collection a couple years back.
Wow.
And that's
Very
probably
impressive.
my favorite piece.
That's so cool.
Sorry if the camera work is awful.
No worries.
Can't quite see.
The art was fantastic.
There it is. That's better.
How big is that? Like 16 by 20 or so?
It's huge. It's like, I want to say it's 18 by 24. Might be bigger than 8. Might be 20 by 24.
Good God.
It's a big piece.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Amazing.
But yeah, that's for next time. I'll save a few for next time. That's
all right. Sounds good.
I feel like I showed a lot.
We'll have to do part 2.
Yeah. All right. So we are talking about doing commissions. I want to give a special shout out to my homie Jeremy Heiler, who's not just a great artist, but he put out 6 self-published books this year.
Wow.
So he wanted to, he was doing commissions, and I said, all right, Jeremy, let's do one. Darth Jar Jar. It's the only thing I told him. And he comes up with this piece of Jar Jar eviscerating the Jedi Council.
Oh my God.
Yoda's in half. Is that, what's his name? Plo Koon, I guess. Like, yeah, and then cowering in the corner is Obi-Wan. But yeah, this was the prompt I gave him, was Darth Jar Jar, and he knocked it out of the park. So if you're looking for great commission work or some great comics, hit up Jeremy Heiler. It's his website, jeremyheiler.com. He did 3 bootleg Batman books, or 4. He did a Godzilla book and a Splinter book. He's working on a creator-owned thing that's coming out this year. He's an amazing artist, a great human being, and he's just one of those people that we're like, he's going to be on my channel several times this year doing live drawing, and I guarantee you his commission rate is going to be up by the end of 2025. When people start to see the kind of work he does,
that piece is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome. And he's the beauty of commissions.
I'm not even a Darth Jar Jar guy, and I want that piece. So
yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, it's just so cool. It's such great art.
So cool.
So that's it. I just wanted to show that off. It was hanging on my wall, and I wanted everybody to have a good laugh at it because it's amazing.
I feel like I pulled way too many pieces.
I actually have a couple things I'm going to show.
Oh yeah,
bring it up.
It's tough. It's tough following you guys, but I'll show you where I'm at right now. Right?
Yeah.
So this is Joe Rubinstein.
Mm-hmm.
I got this Terrificon this past summer.
We love. I mean, Joe Rubinstein's a classic artist.
Yeah. He's touched everybody's work, which is special about Joe.
Oh, you know, and he's a super affordable.
Oh yeah, he really is.
He had some really beautiful pieces in his portfolio at his table too. I wasn't quite committed to buying something like that, but I now thinking back is like, oh man, there were some pretty nice pieces in there. I met Johnny Desjardins at
nice.
Expo.
That's a cool one to have.
And he did that, and he left like a significant amount of space. So I'm thinking this might just be like anytime he's going to be at a con and he's there, I'll get him to like add a little something to it. Like,
like Kitty Pryde on there.
Yeah. Just characters maybe that are relevant to Colossus. and then this one's kind of like the main piece of the book, but pretty cool sketch cover. And I showed this earlier, but I'll show it again in a little bit bigger. It's Bobby Breed. He just
awesome
killed this.
I love the comic book trope of characters busting through the pages.
Yeah.
Like, I've always loved X-Men 100, but just any cover that has that is just, I love that.
And then this piece, I give credit to Jason for this, because he sent me a link to this artist, Mike McCone.
Mike.
He did this stamp series, and then he was doing these like Remark
cool
pieces on it. So you get the stamps, and then you could pick like a character, and of course I picked my guy. Just a really nice, cool little piece that I got from him. And then this is not a published artist per se, but a member of our community just sent this to me at Christmas time, and I just wanted to show it again because it was completely out of the blue, and he just did it for me. And that is James from the Nerdy Musings podcast.
That is so cool.
Great human being.
Did that for me and sent it to me. So
awesome. That's the beauty of the comic book art community, man.
Yeah, the community as a whole, man. He's and like you said, he's a gem. He's a great guy, and nice to have him as a friend, and really appreciate that. So just wanted to kind of
he's also an absolute beast of a human being. Like, he is a beast.
I haven't met him in person, but I know he's a beast. He's he could fold you like a pretzel if he wanted to. But but he won't, because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's one of those people that, like, he's like a 25-year veteran of Brazilian jiu-jitsu and arm wrestling and all this stuff.
Arm wrestling champion.
But fun fact about James, he used to work at Spider's Web, the store that Todd McFarlane and his brother-in-law owned just 15 miles from where I live.
That's awesome.
And he's I think he's said he's got some stuff from McFarlane from those days.
I think he's got one page or so, 2 pages.
He also was he's got a bunch of stuff from Ryan Otley. From Invincible. Before it like really got like it took off, he managed to get like a really nice collection of Ryan Otley stuff that he's shown a few times. But
that'll always be my biggest mistake was with Otley. I had his pencils to the first one of the first appearance of Conquest, when he makes his big he does his big spiel introducing himself, and I traded it away. Oopsie doodle.
I missed winning a page from his first book, which I'm bummed out. I got a page from issue 10, but he started on 8 on Invincible.
And I missed a Spider-Man page that was a great deal, which was cheaper than his commission list by $25.
And you know what's crazy? All those Spider-Man pages are still cheaper than his commission list now.
Yeah.
With the exception of like covers. But I love Otley. I think Otley's one of the premier modern artists, or of this side of the millennium or whatever. But yeah, this is fun, Ryan. I now I'm gonna be like keeping my eyes open for Colossus pieces. If I see anything that's not crazy.
Yeah, dude, I got you.
Yeah,
if I see anything
I
out
appreciate
there,
it. And Jason already sends me stuff every once in a while. So
I sent him a Bart Sears did like a 4 headshot character set of the X-Men, and someone picked it up.
Oh shit!
I haven't been quite committed to jumping in yet, but I think this might have been the.
You start slow. You start slow. But
feel it out.
Yeah, I think commissions is definitely the smartest way to go. And then if you see a page of something that's not going to destroy you, then you pull the trigger on it, because it's not like you'll ever lose your appreciation for art.
Exactly.
Like you might stop watching the shows or movies, or you might stop buying comics, but like art kind of, I've never lost I don't know anybody that's ever been like, yeah, I just stopped liking art.
Yeah.
I cook every day and look at that Art Adams and I just laugh to myself.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous.
I gotta see that. You gotta send a
my
photo of that
pasta,
too.
my adult pasta now. Looking at my favorite kid pasta. But like Jason and Dave both said throughout the show, just go to cons, talk to the artists, go through their portfolios. You don't have to buy anything, but just feel it out, see what you really love.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ryan, for my part, I'm gonna most likely be doing it both days, but DavengerCon's going to be at the beginning of April, and I'm going to have a couple of friends that are artists like Jeremy Heiler and stuff doing live drawing, and we're going to auction it off for charity. So it's going to be a great way to just get, you know, like a really nice piece that you watch get made and you know, be able to win it. But yeah, support the artists. That's the moral of all of this. Support the artists.
Because, yeah.
You know, the history of comic art is pretty fucking dirty, honestly. It's really dirty, you know, with what they used to steal, you know, art and, you know, keep it from the artists. So these days it's very imperative. It's important to support artists.
For sure. Well, guys, thank you for coming on. Awesome first episode here, and had so much fun and learned a lot. And your guys' collections are awesome. So thank you for sharing that with us. If you guys have any questions and you're watching in the future, you know, these guys are on IG, they're on YouTube, look them up, you know, ask them questions. They're great guys. I'm sure they can help you out with stuff.
Yeah, happy to help.
Right? Yeah, charge $25 per message.
Yeah, well, I mean, nothing in life's for free, I guess, right? But yeah, subscribe to these guys, follow these guys, and yeah, appreciate you guys once again. Thank you to everybody who's watching or has watched and who is watching on the replay as well. And stay tuned for the next episode of Colossus Spotlight.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having us, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah.
My pleasure. All right, guys, have a good one.
Hit the like button, everybody. Otherwise, I'm gonna find